Okay. I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to stop swearing and I'm going to try to make a nice, boring video and a professional video. I'm not taking these stupid pictures. Apparently, that's what I've got some comments on what I should do. Now, I'm going to split this video up into a number of different parts. It's a video on sculpting of debt in project finance models, and we're going to do a first exercise where we just use simply the formula debt service divided by target debt service is cash flow divided by DSCR, and we compute the present value of the debt. No big deal. There'll be I'll warn you, a couple of little digressions on using the generic macros. Okay, the second exercise is the debt to capital constraint, along with the DSCR just from the debt service constraint. What the hell is this stupid part? Oh, I swore. In this case, we'll use the LLCR. I call it the LLCR technique. We simply compute the LLCR from the debt to capital constraint and then use a little bit of a max function. The third exercise is really an easy one as well. If you have multiple debt issues, you just have to really adjust this very last, adjust the cash flow formula. So those are going to be easy. Then it gets a little trickier. Then and this is really why I'm making it, if you have a monthly model, but only you're going to pay the debt service of every semi-annual period, then the trick here is to make a discount rate that takes the annual rate, divides it by 2, raises it to 1/6 power minus 1. Why that works, wish I could explain it a little better, and I'll just show you it works, okay? And then we can also do the same kind of thing and say what happens if we have quarterly compounding and all of that. So that's really one of the primary reasons to make it. And then finally, I haven't done a circular reference with a function just in a little while, and we're going to put DSRA interest income into this, and that's unfortunately painful. And I don't know if I've ever really, in the earlier videos, just had kind of a separate one where we really take it from A to Z and really just show you exactly how the interest income is computed. And then finally, we'll add the income taxes. So this is the order. Now they're going to be separate videos. Well, I might not finish them. I'm certainly not going to finish them today, probably. Now, I had a class with a wonderful man, Rajaf. He lives in London, and he's from India and asking me these questions. So that's really where the source of this comes from. The other thing is, if you haven't downloaded the generic macros, I've kind of added some stuff right at the beginning, and importantly, we're going to change the number of rows in our analysis. So right now I'm going to look up 20 rows, but later I'm going to change the number of rows for my shift control R function. And when you change the number of rows, I'll start with 10 as that. You just have to press the little implement button. Okay, and I also, I think, changed the coloring scheme. So if you don't want the first things colored, I noticed a client of mine spends a whole lot of time on the kind of first coloring of the first line. Now, if you want the first column to be colored something different, if I put code number 1, there's no coloring. That's probably a best default to put in. So I know this is digression. I'm going to get in trouble. Oh, shoot. Okay, that's how we're just going to color all the functions. If I put code number 2 and have a renewable energy green color, okay, and if I don't want it, if I only want it to go to column C, then I say, well, the number of title columns is only 3. Implement that. Shift Control C. Sorry about digression. Now, let's get started with our first exercise. So we have a DSCR of 1.2, a debt tenor of 15, and an interest rate of 5. The first thing, let's make this go for 25 years. Alt EIS. Now, I was in Paris, and I was trying to find this in French, and I just couldn't find it. I don't know how to find this thing in French. Okay, and then how about this? I'm gonna copy these over. Okay, so our first exercise, the basic sculpting. And the reason we're going to do this is kind of like a tollway exercise for the C. Let's start with 100 CFABS. So let's put starting CFABS. I hope you don't think this is off the subject. Might be a little bit, but and then let's. Oops. Okay. Well, we can do that. Don't worry about the coloring. And then let's put growth rates. Okay, and we'll just use the lookup function, not the VLOOKUP. We use the lookup function, and we go to the first kind of target on this. Shift Control P, Shift Control R. Oops, and now it just went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should have gone up to the 10. No, just a minute. But I fixed this. That's a 20. Implement. Okay. Oh, I don't know why that didn't work. That's upsetting a little to me. Okay, and then let's make our CFADS. So let's start with we can start with our 100, Shift Control 1, and then multiply that by 1 plus the 8%. Okay, and then now the target debt service, if we want to put in here a column and what we're going to use for it, let's use the 1.2, and we have I think what we need to do is before the target debt service, we also need to put that the debt tenor is 15. So we really need a debt period switch. Okay, and for that we need to take our year and make it less than or equal to the tenor. And it might be a little more transparent if we even put the tenor here, so let's do that again. So let's take this less than or equal to the tenor. Okay, and copy that across, so that better go off later. And we take the cash flow divided by our target debt service and multiply that by the true and false switch. Okay, and then I'm gonna name the interest rate here. Oops. Shift Control F3. I just pressed Shift Control 3 by accident. So to get the total value of the debt, it's the NPV at the interest rate of all of the target debt. Okay. And then that's what we use for our closing balance, and our opening balance is equal to our closing balance. Our repayment is the target debt service minus the interest. The closing balance is the opening balance minus the repayment, and the interest is always the opening balance multiplied by our interest rate. Okay, and then we press Shift Control R, hopefully not all the way. And the good news is that the ending cash went to 0. And that's in year 15. If we really wanted to test that out, we really should put a little test. Okay, and our test for me would be sum if. Just a minute. How about let's use a lookup function. A lookup function might be a little better. Okay, so let's look up on the 15, and then let's look up in this column and in our closing balance column, and we get just about 0. So we can even put a round function around there. So I, used to be a fan of match and index. Using lookup is kind of a little better almost. And then if we want the DSCR, that's the cash flow we have divided by the debt service. Okay, I can put a debt service here, even though it's just testing whether you could actually divide, but just in case, let's put it there. And our DSCR is the cash flow divided by the debt service. And to make sure that we're okay, let's put an if statement and make sure that this debt service is greater than a tiny little number. Okay, and copy that, and then it's always the same, and we got a false, and we can take the minimum or the average. Now if we want the LLCR, let's just take the cash flow available for debt service and multiply that by our debt switch, and finally take the NPV at the interest rate, which I put a little formula in, and take the NPV of the cash flow, and we can divide that by the debt service, and we get exactly the same LLCR. And I use the formula text thing to show it. So I used to make my own function for that, but Excel now has a function. So that's the I think I didn't really swear that much, and it was very boring video, and that's part 1 of the sculpting review. I'll call this, you know what I'm going to do is, I'm going to be really fancy. I'm going to call this a sculpting course. So I'm going to call this sculpting course video number 1. How fancy. Then, I'm going to charge you like $10 to watch it. Don't really believe that.